How do you set up basic slack lines without trees? Check it out in this episode of How Not to Highline. Hi, I'm Ryan Jinks and welcome to Palm Springs. We are setting up some basic slack lines with Andy Lewis without trees. And we're going to show you how we're doing it, even though there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. So the anchors we are using are 14-inch long lag bolts. We have pretty soft grass here. These are 3/8 inch in diameter, but require a 9/16 drill bit. You do have to use an impact drill for these because you get about 5 inches into the ground and it gets pretty hard. Then I have these chain links. You have to have 2 chains, and these are the cheap 400-pound rated things from Lowe's. You just buy a section of however much you need and take some bolt cutters and cut every third one off. So we're trying to set up 8 slack lines, and we're going to use 6 of these per side because we have soft grass, and that means it's about 100 bolts and sets of chains. Now I've placed these bolts in different directions because there are 2 schools of thought and I don't know which one's right, so I did both. If you go back like this and it's going to be pulled that direction, it will loosen up. Boltproducts.com has a great test they've done for this, and they've pretty much convinced me that this facing the direction of pull is just like an ice screw. You want the threads to do the work, not the leverage of the bolt. Either way, I have found if I've put it in all the way into the ground, it doesn't move too much. We did find that just 2 bolts here and 2 bolts here equalized. They were moving and coming out. So we now have 6 per side. So we equalized 3 with paracord and then put a carabiner. This is an aluminum carabiner. This is not how you rig high lines. Then we equalize here with a double length sling, and it comes to a carabiner which holds our span set. And then Andy put the span set on, wrapped it around a couple times, and that's how we connected this 2-inch webbing. Now you can put on 2-inch or you could put on 1-inch. It really doesn't matter. How much do you weigh, Andy?
I weigh about 185 pounds.
What about
this line is seeing 300 something.
740. Whoa, that's just with a few ratchets. We're at 584. 794.
So you notice how
800.
See, the closer I get to there,
Yeah,
short line, it affects
it does.
the dyno. Whereas on a longer line,
Yeah, our 1,000-footer in Yosemite was significantly less.
yeah, and you can see that video right here.
What are you doing there, Andy?
Well, right now I am padding the finishing ends here, as ratchets tend to be made of metal, humans tend to be made of not metal, soft tissue, things that can be bruised, and this will prevent any kind of external damage to people and things. Ta-da!
As far as how to rig the actual slackline, ratchet setups are technically the easiest to learn. There are primitive rigs you can buy. Pure Slackline has one. A lot of slackline companies do. Andy Lewis line for the Gibbon line here. And we clove hitched this end, but some of them have loops, which is nice, and you'd girth hitch this generally around a tree and then ratchet the other side. But you can check out other videos that we have on setting up basic slack lines, or there's a ton of YouTube videos on how to do it. This is just mostly how to set up the anchor here without trees. What keeps this from falling is we drilled a hole on both sides and we ran double paracord through it, simple knot right there, and that keeps it from flattening out. What keeps it from falling forwards or backwards is the fact that the span set is wrapped around once or twice depending on the length of the span set that we had, and that keeps it going forwards or backwards. It keeps it really, really stable. Note these are pressure treated 2x4s, which cause awful splinters. It's because I had those 2x4s. These 2x4s right here are just premium normal 2x4s, which are both found at a hardware store. Do not buy these, they suck. I definitely wish they were all like this so they weren't so splintery. The bolt we chose to use up here is just an eye bolt I already had. This was from Burning Man, so I'd be able to clip a lot of my tent stuff to it. and this bolt was also nice for that. Now I chose these for this project because that way nothing sharp is sticking out. But if I wanted to be a little bit more efficient with the project, not with the cost, I would do a bolt that's the appropriate size with climbing hangers on either side. And then we'd clip the master point to this side and clip the ratchet directly to this and have nothing wrapped around like this. Oh, that's so cute. So look what happened to one of our slack lines that only had 5 bolts. Because instead of doing a 3-point sliding X and a 2-point sliding X and just making a V shape between them, I thought I'd get clever and make a 3-point sliding X here, making this carry 1/3 of the load. Not sure what I was thinking, but this was installed correctly, being that the threads are doing the work and that it's not sideways being leveraged against the grass. However, it's not invincible. It still came out, and you don't have catastrophic failure in this scenario. The slack line just touches the ground and you don't get to have any more fun until you fix it. So what I'm going to do now is install this here and make a 3-point sliding X and see how that does today. How do you tie a sliding X, Andy?
Well, you can tie a sliding X in a few separate ways, but today we're going to tie a 5-bolt Master Awesome sliding X. I don't know if that's the proper name, but that's what we're going to call it today. So you just go through here, you go through there, you go through here, you go through there, and then you got all 5 of these like that. I'll take a paracord, do one of these. But now the trick is I'm going to go back through there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So now I've got my X like that. Now I'm going to bring this right here. And what I'll do is I'll just do a little figure 8. Just like that. That figure 8 will then connect to another figure 8. And you will connect your lines. Boop, 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 boop. And then you can check your 5 sets of parallel lines for your figure 8 link. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of parallel lines. Now you can suck the knot to one side. Start to pull out slack. Zip, zoop, zoop, shoot, 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 shoot. Even.
Apparently, Andy has never seen this video these two guys did on Equalization is a Myth.
No,
and
yes,
that
I have. It's just that this would be one of those cases where it just does not matter because it will be strong enough.
And it's better to do a set of 3 and a set of 2 and then equalize those in a fragile situation, which is highlining on cams, or in this case, a basic slack line without trees.
No, this is fine. Look, watch.
Because it's going to pull in the bolts on the most in line,
yeah, but
these won't see very little force over here on the outside ones.
Like, well, this is the thing, is that we'll see here.
And you can see here, this is a great example of how a 5-point sliding X can get complicated.
What? Look, this is just bullshit.
You're missing your, there you go.
One. There we go. And that one actually goes like this. There we go. And then that one actually.
And you just twist them around until they sit flat-ish. Yeah, it's not bad. Okay, this is a simpler way of doing a 3-point sliding X. This is a continuous piece. It's about as tall as me. So paracord breaks around 500 pounds of force. So we doubled it up. I'm going to take it 2 at a time through each bolt. And there we go. This is not how you tie a knot for a high line anchor. It just really doesn't matter here. And then you take the middle between the 2 bolts, slide them together, move that knot over to the side. And we have found in this video that I made with this one guy on Equalization is a Myth, twist, twist, sits flat, that if you do a V to a V to a V, we're gonna get more equalization. And right now, I believe it matters because the shit's coming out. Okay, so we did use aluminum carabiners here, which is Moss or Minos. But up here at the master point, which is the point that's the master, we use steel because it can handle those cyclic loads better. This is a sliding X. You do a half twist, Not that it matters here, but good habit to be in. Because
Nice.
if one side breaks, then you don't die in a life-threatening situation. So there is multiple ways to set up a slackline without trees. One way is with rebar that you smash in with a sledgehammer, but I don't personally like how it sticks out of the ground, which is a risk if you fall on it, or trying to pull them out is a bitch. This is super easy to de-rig, especially for a temporary setup. Another common permanent setup would be a dead man anchor, where you bury a block or a piece of wood or almost anything, wrap a span set or a rope or a chain around that, and you bury it, and then you're not going to pull it out of the ground. And then you just use an A-frame like we have here, and it's the same thing. That's great for a permanent setup. That's not great for something we're only setting up for 2 days. So we have a video on hang frames if you want to get a little bit fancier and have something that's a little bit more stable and has height adjustability in it. These are A-frames, even though they look like X's, but hang frames are a nice option if you have the motivation to make one. We also have a video on how to set up basic slack lines, different connectors you can use, how to build anchors, and how equalization works, trying to get them to all pull evenly on your anchor. So this is a slackline tutorial, not a highline tutorial, even though this is a highline educational channel. Please don't use lag bolts and dirt for a highline anchor, or paracord, or aluminum carabiners, or the shitty knots we used. Please only use the techniques I've shown you here, down low, in a park. Now, if you do set one of these up and practice regularly, you could get good at slacklining and be tempted to highline. Therefore, you shouldn't do this.